Hello, I'm Matt Watts, and I'm asking, what's on your screen? The internet is such a core part of so many of our lives, but what we each see on there is completely different, partly due to different interests, our different demographics, and the whims of various algorithms. For example, I'm in quite a strange situation where I can't open Instagram Reels without being presented with something to do with 9/11. And just to prove that, I'm going to open Instagram now and go straight to Reels. What's the first thing I see? Okay, so what is on screen there? I mean, I was right, for one thing. Is actually the footage of the second plane hitting the World Trade Center, but in reverse, with the caption, "Plane leaves tower after repairing it, brackets, emotional." So there you have it. I am constantly bombarded with memes and footage of the horrific events of September 11th, 2001. But this podcast is not about the unhinged things that appear on my screen. I'm here to ask a series of guests what's on their screens in an attempt to better understand what we are all seeing on the internet. Today's guest is Pippa, and she's not too keen on being described as an influencer.
I used to enjoy using the term influencer as a joke, but now that I've acquired that status, it feels really cringy to say it, and it's such a nothing term.
But the numbers speak for themselves. Her follower counts apparently make her at least a micro-influencer.
I know that TikTok likes, it's 2 point something million likes, which sounds like a big number.
It is, I'd say.
Yeah.
She makes videos about being a late diagnosed autistic person.
I probably seemed less autistic when I was a child, but I wasn't less autistic. I just masked it well at school.
I'm an autistic adult and I struggle with reciprocating in conversation.
I'm an autistic mum to autistic sons, and I'm going to share something with you that really helps me in the everyday, and you may think that it's very basic, but I'm going to share it anyway.
A lot of people set out with the intention of gaining an audience and becoming an influencer. That wasn't the case for Pippa.
Well, I've been posting to Instagram for a while and just having a jolly little time pretending to be an influencer and referring to myself as one, kind of a tongue-in-cheek way, but wasn't one. And then when I finally made peace with the fact that I am autistic, because I wrestled with it for a couple of years, I felt like I had a big secret, a bit like, you'll relate, when you're pregnant and it's you're trying to hide it for a while and you feel like it's really, really obvious because, your breasts have gone from a B to an F and you think everyone can tell and I'm trying to hide this. So it felt a bit like that, even though talking to friends, that wasn't the case. But I just felt like, oh, this is really, really obvious and I feel like I'm lying to people through a mission. So I felt so stressed by it. I thought I need to like come out as autistic. I want to do that. And I started telling close friends first and then family, actually, and then more friends. And then as I was learning, I was having these kind of revelations and I wanted to record those and just like find a quiet space on the internet where people don't know me. And I thought, I'm going to go over to TikTok where I don't post. No one knows me there. And I'm not going to tell my Instagram followers about it. I'm just going to go over to TikTok and I'm going to use this space to kind of just have a place where I can share my autistic epiphanies. And then I'll find like a little community of other neurodivergent folk, and that'll be cool to connect with them. And it'll just be a little thing. It felt quite cozy, like, oh, this could be nice. And then it blew up.
It's interesting you say you were looking for a community, because I've got some questions that I've written here, and I phrased it as your audience. Which do you think you found in the end?
Can I say both?
Yeah, you're going to have to justify it, but you can.
All right. So I would say I found a community in that posting enabled me to connect with other similar content creators. Again, that phrase is like bleh. So connecting with other similar content creators and forming friendships with them over our shared experiences of also being late identified or late diagnosed autistic. That was one way that I found a community.
When you say you found them and you're interacting with them, do you mean you notice that you're both making similar videos and then you end up in the comments section, or you message them? Or
Yes. So I would notice their content, or they would notice mine, or both. And yes, it would be like in the comments section, but generally it would be through a mutual follow. And then it's, oh, wow, that person's followed me? Why would they follow me? Oh, that's cool. And then them messaging me, which it felt like a celebrity was messaging me. Like, oh, what? People with blue ticks are messaging me. Why? Why are they doing that? Which then moved over to Instagram as well. That people whose content I really got a lot from and helped me to learn about myself, learn about autism, learn about neurodivergence in general, then they follow me back and they message me saying, oh, I just wanted to say I find your videos so helpful. And I think, what? Wait, what? But I find your videos helpful. This is surreal.
So it ends up with a lot of one-to-one messaging.
Yeah, so less in the comments and more with a mutual follow.
Which is a bit different to how there was a point where the internet formed communities with public discussion like that on something like Twitter, back when it was Twitter and where it was the place for this.
Yeah.
And when in the kind of the Facebook era, I don't know where it's still in to a certain degree, but it's become a different age group who tend to be on Facebook. And that was all about groups and community in a different way. And this seems different. It's like you're all nodes that are connected, but you're not in a space talking together.
Yeah, it's lots of one-to-one, which now, hearing you reflect that back, I'm thinking, oh, well, that's quite an autistic preference, really. Because we do struggle in group situations. So it makes sense then that we're having all of these one-to-one interactions, and many of us may all be kind of connected. So there is a group of us where I'm aware that everyone within the group, we are all connected to each other, we all follow each other, and yet we don't have a group chat. Because I think that's something that, as autistic women, we might actually struggle with unless we really, really know all of the individuals in it. I'm not saying I don't do group chats because, I love a group chat, but it's only if I really know the people and I know what the unspoken rules are of that group chat. So it makes sense that it's happened in a one-to-one way.
So the tools are there, but you've made the conscious decision to stick to doing it this way.
I wouldn't say it's a conscious decision.
Okay.
It's more, it feels organic to reach out one-to-one. I'm not going, nope, I will not engage in a group discussion. It's like I don't even think of doing it.
So if we call that bit your community.
Yes.
What about the audience? What's your impression of who is watching what you're making? Do you keep track of that?
I did. Well, I looked at it in the early months out of curiosity because it was blowing up so quickly, and I was going, oh, wow, well, I've had this many views compared to 2 weeks ago. Whereas I don't look now. I could open the app and have a look at the stats, but the last time I did that was months ago. So my feeling is that my audience is compiled of later recognised or later diagnosed, and I deliberately don't say that it's all through diagnosis because there are many self-identified neurodivergent people. So later discovered neurodivergence, not just autism, but also because I share about what it's like to be a parent of autistic children. I do like to have a look at the comments, even though I can't read all of them, which that feels really wanky to say, oh, there are just so many comments, I can't get through them all, but I can't.
That's another thing that perhaps separates you from that horrible term influencer. You get the impression that people who use that term are making a living of some kind, or a portion of their living out of it. And you're not. You're working full time, and you're a full time mother.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you don't have time to look at the comments.
Yeah. So when I do kind of skim read, then generally I'm seeing messages from other parents saying whether they are older parents of late identified neurodivergent people, or they've got young children. Yeah, lots of messages of, thank you, your content has really helped me to understand my child better. And then they are asking questions which I will sometimes try to answer through a video, because I like feeling helpful, and it feels nice that they're thanking me, and I think, oh wow, I've made a difference. Oh well, yeah, I'd like to answer that question. I'm not an expert, but I can share my experience with you. So yeah, sure, here you go.
And is the flip side of feeling helpful a feeling of responsibility?
Yes, it is.
Have you got any rules for how you interact as a result of that?
A lot of us neurodivergent people, we struggle with our mental health. So I wouldn't want to put anything out that could be in any way triggering or like actively unhelpful. While I'm trying to be open and honest about my own experience, I feel a responsibility to be helpful and not just, oh yeah, I'm just going to share every detail of my life. Because actually, if it could be really upsetting for people, I try to add some hope in the despair of my videos, so it's not just completely bleak.
Yeah, having seen your videos, I don't see any bleakness or despair.
What a relief. I tried to sprinkle in some lightness, so it doesn't just leave people going, oh, wow, well, this is just awful.
Is that something you've seen elsewhere then?
No, it's just what happens in my mind.
Oh, okay. How much does what other people create influence you? Because you seem to start in a bit of a vacuum.
I see other people they've got their kind of strategy, they're posting, and sometimes they're talking about the fact that like, oh, I need to post every day or need to get this many posts out in a week. And I think, I've got a job, I've got children, I'm not getting paid for this. I'll post when I want. There was a short spell where I felt kind of, oh, okay, well, I guess I should post more frequently. And then I had a word with myself. I'm like, sorry, why? Why should you do that? Why are you doing this in the first place? Well, it was to help yourself and to help other people. And it's not just to feed the TikTok giant. So post whenever you want. If you want a break for a month, you don't have to tell people about that. Whereas a lot of other influencers saying, I've noticed I'm really burning out. Of course you are. You're neurodivergent and you're working really hard. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break from posting. Yes, go for it. But you don't even need to tell us that you're taking a break. Just take a break. So I don't tell people I'm taking a break because the break might just be half an hour. I'm back. It's tempting. I can feel it kind of like pulling me, like, oh, look. Oh, maybe you could grow your followers even more. Oh, yeah, but why? Like, what's the point?
It sounds like some people have a sense of responsibility that is to feed the algorithm. And you've separated that out, and it's a responsibility to you and the people who you're helping.
Yeah, and I think if the algorithm isn't showing my content to them, if they really want to find me, they can find the content. They can search for me. If not, okay, well, fine.
And presumably that's how people first did find your content, is because they are interested in the specific topic that you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess. And I guess the algorithm was maybe my friend. Ooh, that sounds cringy. Just noticed that. Ooh, sorry. Let me shudder first.
I think it's a good point, though. It does make you feel like that, because you said just now the pull towards, oh, you've got this many followers, you could grow it. That is because TikTok specifically does send messages saying that stuff. Yeah. So, I received messages from TikTok kind of like, ooh, how about you pay a little bit to have this post? Do you know that this post could be pushed to this many million people? And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm sure it could, but I'm not going to pay for that. No, I'd rather put my money to, I don't know, getting my car cleaned. I like that. It's a complete divorce from the whims of the algorithm. I like the idea that you look at that email and go, "No, I'll clean my car."
But then because I don't have a product to sell, I can see how people who this is their livelihood and they need to get their videos seen so that they can make a living. Okay, well they might then feed the algorithm. But then what I've heard is that if you do pay, TikTok says, so you're willing to pay. Well, in that case, we're not going to push your videos so much so that you will keep on paying.
Criticism in the comment sections or elsewhere. Do you get it? Do you read it? And how do you respond to it?
Well, I was getting criticism on Instagram. This was before I started posting to TikTok, I think. Oh no, a bit of an overlap. Criticism about my teeth. But I was braced for that already, which is why on my bio I write all teeth on my own. Braced. Oh, braced.
I thought you did that on purpose.
No. Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
For the record, Pippa has perfectly nice teeth. People on the internet are just horrible. It's like children in school. If there's something ever so slightly different about you, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't that,
it would be something else.
Yeah.
Like, they would find something. I almost feel like, you're picking on that. I could give you way better things to pick on. Like, let's have a chat. I'll give you some better content.
So that's probably more hate than criticism, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And that I just completely ignore it. Oh, in fact, there was one guy who just said, get braces or something. And I responded saying, thank you so much for the advice. Actually, I would really love to get braces. I think that would really help, but they're really expensive. But thank you. And then he responded and said, I'm really sorry. That was a horrible thing I just said. You didn't deserve to receive that. And then he followed me. And then he started putting nice comments on things and commenting like pleasant things on my stories. And I'm like, oh, well, that was unexpected. And now we're dating. Kidding. We're not. He lives
really
in the
hard.
States. We couldn't make the distance work. Again, joking. But yeah, that was really unexpected. So I try to respond. If I'm going to respond at all, I just try to say, hey, I'm a human. But generally, I just will completely ignore it. The only comments I will delete and block are things that are hateful towards the community. If it's just towards me, I've noticed that my followers will get involved. They'll muscle in. They'll be like, how dare you? And I'll just leave them to it. I'm like, oh, thank you, friends. But if it's hateful towards the community, so it could be the neurodivergent community, and there are some, horrible, ableist, really nasty things. And I don't want any of my followers reading that. So I will delete and block. But otherwise, if it's just criticism towards me, I'll just leave it there. And I feel guilt around silencing people. I want them to be able to have their opinion heard. Like, okay, you disagree. All right, well, there you go. I'll leave that there so that other people can see that this isn't, this is my experience, but this person has had a different experience, and that's valid as well.
There's a difference between the hate and criticism, and it's difficult to draw that line because some criticism could be labelled as ableist. Do you have a kind of a policy or some ideas yourself about what counts as criticism and should be engaged with in good faith, and what is hate and should just be ignored?
If there's anything that is talking about how a particular group should die,
that's pretty clear cut, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't have to think about that too much. Like, right, okay, no, that's not welcome here. But if it's someone sharing their misunderstanding of what autism is, then I think, well, actually, this can be a discussion, and this could be a useful opportunity for. I'm not sure if this individual will learn through having a discussion, but I don't know, maybe they will. But other people who maybe are thinking along similar lines as that person who is criticising, maybe they will learn with like a counter argument that I might bring along.
I like that. It's a very positive approach. So we've talked quite a bit about your approach and your rules yourself for how you approach these things. So just to finish off, if you were suddenly crowned supreme ruler of the internet and you could make up one rule everyone on the internet has to follow, what do you think your rule would be?
I feel like saying no hate is just too obvious. Oh, is it the learning and development professional in me who's like, always be open to learning? Is that really a rule?
It's up to you. You're the supreme leader.
Always
be open to learning.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting one because it is more nuanced than just saying no hate. And it preserves everyone's right to put out whatever.
Because then I'm also saying I should be open to learning. I could put something out where actually I made a mistake and I'm open to correction. Oh, and thank you for correcting me, instead of us all just going, nope, this is fact and I will not be moved. But if we could all be open to learning.
You know, as someone who recently left the learning and development industry, I don't think I'd be so happy to hear it referenced again. I think that's a very good rule.
Okay.
And I hope the real supreme leaders of the internet take note.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pippa. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was Pippa. You can find her on TikTok under the name She Wears Socks. That's Shewearssocks. And if this podcast gets your mind whirring about the strange things that make up your internet diet, you might want to share it like these folks did.
You know, Instagram is mostly just dog shit memes, many of which actually involving dogs and other creatures. Raccoons are a big one. I like raccoons. They're big trash creatures, so I kind of relate. I get updates about a little disabled raccoon that has to be carried around everywhere by its owner, and I'm a big fan of that particular raccoon, as well as the rest of them.
Normally, I'm just absolutely snorting true crime. Been listening to the classic last podcast on the left. They've recently been doing the Wonderland killings, and can confirm, did Google, the guy that kind of started it all really does have a big dick.
Reels that have been pushed to me on Instagram. An athletic woman chopping wood. All she's doing is chopping wood. But it's really, really captivating. Really satisfying seeing this wood. It makes me want to chop wood.
I just really get Pokemon videos because I'm a nerd.
So if you want to share your own internet diet, follow me on Instagram and send me a voice note. You can find me at mattwattsmakesdocs. That's MattWattsMakesDocs. In the meantime, please subscribe to hear more episodes and have a nice week online.